Hello and welcome to Group 9 Sprint 2 demonstration video. Uh, Today I'm going to show you all of the new features added this sprint. This sprint we mainly focused on player interaction with the program, not necessarily admin stuff, but more player focused things. And we have finished almost everything for the player. So if I go ahead and run main, I'll show you what features we have currently running. Go ahead and run main.main. Wait for it to build. You are brought to a login window. With this, you can log in. I'm going to log in as the user JML116 and log in with password 2. Press submit. If my information is correct, it should bring me to the player GUI menu. If it's incorrect, it'll ask you to re-input everything and then continue to wait on you. And once you get it correct again, it will bring you to this menu. So it's kind of a mess right now. We were playing around with some stuff, but at the moment, JML116, you can see here, has a max value of green and blue, 255. I believe that makes CEN because the color of this character is CEN, of this account, I should say. And it also has a border color of red. What we did was we separated player color and border color to kind of uh, make more variety whenever you have a player. So if two players want to be blue, they can choose different border colors that I believe squares our number of possible players that we could have based on color identification. Compared to if we just had all black borders, then it would the only thing you would be able to identify someone as is their base color, which would be confusing if two players chose blue. But you can see it easier here whenever a player owns multiple plots. You can see the green border definitely a lot brighter there. So this character logged in, JML116, currently has more than one plot, so it does not need to receive a free plot to start the game, meaning that it will be brought normally as a normal player if I click a button to the question GUI, which we have in a separate window at the moment. This asks us a question. At the moment, I just have the answer outputted here because I'm not very smart. Um, but if I go ahead and click an incorrect, or if I go ahead and click the correct answer, sorry, it will tell me that I am correct, and it will give me the button that I worked on. Along with that, it will also refresh the leaderboard, updating with the most current information. So if I were to click on, let's say this blue plot here, which is owned by ABC01, which is this blue color, darker blue, not CN, answer is 11. So if I click on 11, it will give me that plot, decrease this by 1, and increase mine by 1. So we go, and of course if you get a question incorrect, so if I put 9, incorrect, does not give me the plot. At the moment, logout does not work. We did not have enough time to implement that functionality, but in the future, this will bring you back to the login menu. And this panel right here holds information from the game info table in our database. So this holds game ID for if in some future expanded version of this software, probably outside of our scope for this project. But if this were to go later on and you needed multiple games running, you could input game ID for the player and be able to connect to a specific version of the game instead of, just whatever we have now. It'll hold also the question refresh time, so what time of day your daily questions get reset, the end date of the game, which I just have set to May 7th, 2021 at 12:30, and then also grid size, which we have 10 right now. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and close this, and if I go to our database here, I'm going to set everything with the user ID of XYZ99 to none. So I'm going to get rid of all of XYZ99's plot in our grid info table. So if I select from grid info where, I think I can actually just copy this, where user ID equals XYZ99 should be blank, which is correct. There are no rows in grid info where user ID equals XYZ99. This grid info holds information about the grid. If I just pull it up here without that where statement, it'll have information X and Y of each plot and also the owner. So this is what colors it in the program. Program pulls this information and colors it based on the user ID, and the colors for those players are stored in player. So here's their colors. So that's how it knows what colors to color and where to color specific plots. But at the moment, this player owns no plot. Their color, background color is red and their border color is blue. So I'm going to go ahead and log in as that player, XYZ99. Whoopsies. XYZ99, and I believe the password is password3. Submit. Program will log in, color red. So yeah, here we go, 0. So for your first plot, the game will give you a free plot. Instead of making you answer a question, it will give you a free plot as long as it is not owned by another player. So if I click this plot here, it will not give me the plot belonging to ABC01 here. However, if I click this plot, since I still have 0, it will give me this plot for free. I do not have to answer a question for that. And it updated everything here. So I'm going to go ahead and I want to demonstrate this overtaking this player. So I want to see XYZ overtaking DEF. So I'm just going to answer some questions. I believe that's Asia. Correct. Gave me the plot. Here we go. Earthquake. Gave me the plot. There we go. I believe that is the skin. There we go. Neutron. All right, so now they're even. If I answer another question, 4 chambers, that's heart. You can see here, whenever I answer this, that red overtakes magenta, since now he owns more plots. So leaderboard is working correctly, buttons are working correctly. What we plan to implement in the future is a feature where you must click a button that is adjacent to a button you already own. So you place your first one for free, and then you click one that is next to a button that you own, and that will kind of force the players not to just target wherever they want, but kind of slowly expand and make kind of like what the purpose of the game was, their own nation type thing, where they can expand it slowly. At the moment, that doesn't exist. You can just click wherever you want, but in the next sprint, we plan on having that implemented, as well as the logout working. But that is currently what we've worked on in this sprint. We worked on coloring the database, or coloring the buttons in the grid based from the database, allowing a user to answer a question, update the database, allowing a new user with 0 plots, freshly made user, to claim an unowned spot to start, and I believe that is all of the new things that we have added. Mainly just database implementation and figuring out how to use that information. We've also tested this with multiple people logged in on different computers. There are no errors. So yeah, I believe that is all that we've done here. I'll go ahead and scroll through the code. You see all of our variables. This is mainly the class that we messed with here, the grid GUI. You can see it checks for the plot's own and sends it to either the new player method or the question GUI method, which this brings up the question GUI and figures out if the information is correct. This is for whenever it is created, you want to start the GUI. It creates players and questions. It also helps set up the menu. This fills the grid GUI, sorts the players in the array, gets the index of the player that's logged in so that it changes correctly based on whoever you're logged in as. This is the leaderboard refresher for the menu. This updates the plots owned for each player. So every single time the leaderboards refresh, you need to update the plots, but then you also need to update it whenever the game is started. So this is run with leaderboard refresh, just in case you also need to run it at separate times. Update grid color. This is what colors the grid itself based on the player object that is created. And then update game info text. This is for the small game info window above the login button. This is the new player method. So if their plots owned are equal to 0, they're sent here. And if they click on a button that has the owner of none, give them that button. And then this returns grid length and grid. Above here, this is our login menu. So this will store the username, password, has frame information, and a boolean that says login was successful. And so this brings up the login screen, sets action listeners for the submit button. This returns a player so that we can make sure that the colors and everything are correct in the output. This returns username, and this returns if the login was successful so that the main knows when to stop looping and start running the grid GUI. But at the moment, that is what we've worked on for our sprint. So everything is working. I'll log in one last time, ABC01. Password is password for this account. Once it connects, submit, outputs color, sends the username so that this panel right here knows who you are. So whenever you answer a question, it will give you that plot. So there we go. That is what we've worked on this sprint. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.